Hey everyone,
This is Mukul.
and this is Swapnil.
Welcome to Going Slow podcast, where we discuss our product journeys.
And also have casual discussions around life, universe, and everything in between. Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 10 of Going Slow podcast. And today we have a surprise guest for you. We have Yatharth, and he shares a very good mindset. I've met him in one of our meetups, and instantly I was like, okay, this is a very different lifestyle that he's pursuing. So yeah, at Going Slow podcast, we are also pursuing something similar. So just thought, let's get him on an episode and just get some insights on how things are going for him. So hey Yatharth, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, hi Swapnil. Thanks for having me here. And yeah, I'm really excited. This is the first time I'm on any podcast. So yeah.
Okay, okay, no pressure, no pressure. Well,
Yep. So we can start with like a small intro. So Yatharth, can you please tell us about yourself, and then I guess we can give a small quick intro ourselves too.
Yeah, so okay, my name is Yatharth. And I've been trying indie hacking for a while now after quitting my job in 2020, I guess. Yes. And which was during the pandemic. So yeah, it has been a really nice journey for me up till now. Like, no really big success as an indie hacker, but yes, I've been able to learn a lot. I've been reading a lot of books. I've tried new technologies, so on. Like, except React, because I've been before that, I was working as a front end developer for almost 5 years, six years, and just writing React most of the time. So it got really boring, and now it's much better. Better.
So now you're exploring the whole stack, back end, front end, marketing, and all other things.
Yes, sort of. And in fact, I'm also exploring the systems because I fell in love with Rust language. So I've been spending a lot of time lately with Rust. So that has been really exciting. More than full stack, obviously, I tried learning it. I'm using full stack, but Rust has been I think I can say the love of my programming life. Uh, yes.
So I'm curious. So I was hearing about Rust a lot, like on Twitter, and there are a lot of folks who I admire too, and they are like starting to use Rust now. So why exactly? Like, what's like the thing in Rust which people are falling in love with?
I think it's mostly because of the hype, because hype is the thing which dominates in the tech world, because everyone starts talking about one thing and then everyone is going for that thing. So with for me with Rust, it was the same thing because there was so much of hype. I wanted to know like what's it all about. So I started learning Rust. And then, but the reason is that you have so much control over the whatever you are programming, you have a control over the machine and so on. It's difficult in the start because I had no idea like what's going on, because Rust is, first of all, it's a difficult language to learn, but also because we have been using these dynamic super high level languages like Python and JavaScript and so on, that we don't really think about what's going on behind the scenes. And in Rust, that you have to control everything like over there. So yes, it's really tough in the beginning. And it actually, what I loved about it is that it pushed me to learn like core computer science concepts. I started learning computer architecture and so on, just to understand how I can write programs in Rust in the way that Rust wants you to write.
this feels like super interesting. It's always nice to talk to someone who has like a deep passion about something. So I want to like go level deeper and maybe like if you can talk about one example of a design or anything that you liked doing with Rust, which you were not exposed to in the front end or the full stack world? Just to get to something more concrete, okay, what is it that Rust allows you to do and which made you eventually fall in love with it?
Oh, okay, I'll give you an example. Nice CLI dashboard sort of stuff, like where there's too much of stats they are running, and you see these things in sci-fi movies or something like that. So uh, from childhood, I used to admire all those things when I watched in movies and so on. Now, if you really want to write those sort of CLI programs in which have these terminal UI, what we call in JavaScript or something, it's not really easy, and few things are not at all possible to write in JavaScript because it doesn't give you that level of control over the machine, and you cannot access few things. For example, things related to the CPU or memory. Obviously, like C++ has some API exposed to JavaScript because in Node.js, but not obviously in how much control that Rust gives you. So if you are trying to write that sort of CLI programs, then Rust is the language. Or you have to pick some other language like C or C++, where there is no memory safety. And so the thing is that you can think of it that you don't need to care about memory safety, and you can, but you have the same level of control. And that is the thing which made me fall in love with Rust, because C++, C, and all these languages are really scary. You mess with one thing and then like it comes falling down, everything. But in Rust, you just know that compiler is taking care of everything like that, as we see in languages like Java. So you don't need to think much about that, but you have all that control.
Yeah, so it's a low level programming language like C, C++, but it's like the next iteration in their process where like C++ was in 1970s and 80s, and now it's like the next version in that.
Yes. Yes, you can totally say that. In fact, people who are in the community, they call it the language of the next 30 years, 40 years. So, for example, since 1970, C has been there almost dominating the systems industry. And now for the next half century or something, you can expect us to do that. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, that sounds super interesting to me. The one question I had was you mentioned in the start that you quit your job in 2020 and went full time indie hacking. So what was the like pivot point in your journey, or what was the thought process that got you into indie hacking? What made you think like, oh, I should quit my job and go full on with this idea of bootstrapping, or full on into bootstrapping?
Uh, Okay, when I quit my job, it was not that I decided that I'll do indie hacking or something. That started like almost uh, like 8, 10 months after I quit my job. So there was no plan, and I just wanted to do nothing. I just, I just
Wow.
there, so there's this thing that okay, we always talk about the burnout thing,
Mhm.
but how to fix that? Like, uh, what I have realized is that you need to find yourself. Like, you need to see where you belong, where you can place yourself. What are the things that make you happy, or something like that. So, if you have a burnout and like you go back to the same thing, then it's a loop. You then again like quit your job, something, and or take a break, and then you again go back to the same thing. Then again, the same burnout or like that. And it usually happens because if you see, our industry works in a way, at least I see it that way, that you are uh, rewarded for doing the same thing every day. That's the model, how I see. Obviously, few companies are there who are doing good job. They give you all that freedom, but more or less what you're doing is you need to hit daily targets or weekly targets, whatever it is, or your sprints. and you're doing that one after one, it leads to burnout. And even if you quit your job and if you join some other company, it's the same thing, because all the companies are uh, running sprints one after another. So I didn't know what I want to do. So I just wanted, I actually saw that I can't do this. So I need to move, but I'll see what I can do, uh, what makes me happy, and I'll see. Like,
Yeah, it it's a bit relatable because I think it's like deeply ingrained in our thought process, or we have been kind of brainwashed for this. Like for example, when you're like a small child, you go to school, so school is like 9 to 5. So you are, from the childhood you have been in that thought process of going from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and then after that you go to college, you have that similar kind of schedule, and then you move on to the same job theme where you have similar kind of thing like 9 to 5. Like you go so it's like deeply ingrained in our brain. I feel that we have to go, we have to follow that same schedule, and once someone doesn't follow that schedule, it becomes scary, something like that. So yeah, I mean, then the sprints 9 to 5, I guess it's like deeply ingrained in our brain somehow, and it's like a new norm nowadays. So after like quitting your, so did you explore many options, or did you decided to go through this process of bootstrapping?
so after quitting, actually, I just spent a lot of time reading, because I started reading like after like 10 years or so. Like I didn't read in that duration. I was just writing code or something, like, I don't know. I was doing these things. So I just wanted to read for a while, uh, just to explore things. And I watched stuff. I was listening to podcasts and doing all these things, which help me open my brains, like which help you understand more, get more context and things like that. So I was doing that, and I saw like there are a bunch of people who are um, indie hacking, basically building these small products by themselves, and they are selling it and so on. So I just thought like, maybe I can do this thing. But the reason that I haven't been able to do that very well is like I failed a lot many times last year. And that is the reason was, I was thinking last month uh, that the reason was that I was imitating. So I shouldn't have done that. I saw that there are few models in indie hacking that works for people, that have worked for many people. For example, there is this analytics app that people are running, are building, and they are selling. And I've seen like 4 or 5 apps like that, and the founders are like, a good many founders are doing that, and they are earning well. Uh, so, and similarly, there are many other products, like there are products built on Notion or Slack or so on, and they are very much similar. And people are building that. They're doing good. So I tried to do the same thing, and the problem was that I got bored. Either I got bored, or it just wasn't me. So yeah, I always left the project in between, or uh, something like that happened. I'm a fan of Michio Kaku, the physicist, and he always says that if it's not fun, then it's not worth doing. So what I realized was that whatever I was doing, I was imitating, and that's the reason it was not fun for me. Uh, and that's why the things didn't work. So what I have decided for this year is that I have no targets, but I'll try to be more original. I'll try to put myself out, build things that resonate with my personality, or build things or problems that I have actually faced, and not try to use these models, successful models, which are there in the market.
I'm just sitting here and like soaking it in. Like even though I know your journey, it's just I don't know, overwhelming to see the clarity. Like it shows that the months spent after leaving your job, it like the soul searching went uh, really successful. Like you have a lot of clarity in terms of what to do, what to not do, which is something most people don't have, and we don't even hear on social media or in a friend circle as well. Like do you have people, friends or others, like who are also on a similar journey? How do you find those people?
Oh, no, I don't have any like close friends, but yeah, like I sort of know people who are doing things in their own way. For example, I really like Siddharth. Well, he's so the thing about him that I really like is that he is building products, or he's working on projects that which he likes. He didn't run after any successful model. He just built things which resonates with his personality or what he's best at. Like, and that's the reason that his that Tailwind project, which he's building, is so successful, or in fact any other projects that he has built. Yeah, so that's the thing I'm talking about. Being yourself is really hard. Because maybe it takes time, and you always think that you don't have time. You're running short of time. You have to run fast just because maybe there are not enough funds. Maybe you're not having enough time, and you have all these constraints. But if you just have a little patience, and you give yourself some time, give yourself some freedom to be you or explore things and find yourself eventually, I think then it'll work. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can always relate to that, to be honest, because so I was in like similar phase in 2020. I was trying to bootstrap something like I was doing part time. So after my 9 to 5 job, I was trying to build project, hoping it would generate some revenue, and then if it generates some revenue, then I'll quit. That was my plan. So I saw one documentary, not documentary, a YouTube video on someone who has built a GitHub app called Pull Panda. So he built a GitHub app, Pull Panda. He bootstrapped it from zero to $6,000 MRR in like 5 6 months, and then it got acquired by GitHub. He was acquired by GitHub, and he is now working as a product manager at GitHub. And I was like, whoa, this is something which is amazing, like getting acquired. And then because if you're getting acquired there, then you are obviously working at a very good position, and you have more control over things. So that was something I was like very inclined to. And then I thought, oh, this is something which he has created a GitHub app, then maybe if I create one GitHub app, then it will work too. And it didn't work. So I created a GitHub, released it, published it, wait, like iterated on it and all those things, but it didn't work. So yeah, I mean, I did the same mistake of following like the model, I would say, because I was hooked by that story. I would say the similar in your case, I guess the analytics one, I guess Fathom Analytics, Plausible Analytics. So this story, I was very hooked, and then I thought like maybe there is something in it for me too. So I replicated it, but it kind of didn't work. So I guess like after next few iteration, few things started clicking for me. But yeah, initially I was trying to replicate the model, which I guess don't work in many cases. But I guess as you mentioned, then you try to find something which works for you, because it's us who is going to work on it long term. If we are not happy, then the product is not going to be at the stage where we want it to be.
Actually, I was reading this about Udemy. So founder, this guy Gagan Biani. So he actually was advised by that because he was confused, like what to do next in career and so on. And Naval suggested him to take a break and take at least one whole year. One entire year is a lot of time, but like he says, and he was surprised that like one entire year is like a lot of time. And he said like, no, okay, take that time, and you'll figure out. just figure out. And the result was Udemy, like after 1 year. So the thing is that we actually, Twitter influences you. Twitter is when you see people are having these quick successes, like people are reaching like 3,000 MRR or like 6,000 MRR, 2,000 MRR, whatever, in like just a matter of months. And then they tweet that, okay, I set this goal for myself that within 6 months or within a year I have to reach this much MRR, and then I reached it just because I was working day and night. I was continuously building. If I fail, I was building again, and so on. So these things influence you directly or indirectly. When you see these tweets and so on, then you want to do the same thing, and you see that if this guy has done this thing in this way, then probably this is the right way to do it, and you try to do that. But sometimes taking taking a break is all you need. I think just take a break.
Yeah, Twitter
So
is broken for sure. It's about the algorithm, right? If someone posts their failure or any shortcoming, it won't get likes or comments or whatever. So it doesn't get bubbled up. Whereas whoever publishes their success thing, everyone is looking for hope in some sense. So they will cheer them
yes.
on, and those are the things that eventually get bubbled up, and then you see the survivorship bias. You don't know how many started the journey, but you just see that okay, these are the models that are working, but yeah, there's a lot of context missing.
Yeah. So I'm super curious to know now what's the definition of like freedom for you. So as far as I know, like you want to work something which you're passionate about. I mean that's why you quit your job. But like, what would be the ideal definition of freedom for you? How do you imagine your lifestyle to be in that scenario?
Okay, as far as okay, freedom is concerned, I think if I can decide that if I want to work or not, and if I want to work, then what do I want to work on? That's the freedom. I don't want to keep running just to hit any targets or something. Like, I hate that. I can do that. That's the reason I decided not to get back to job anytime soon, because I cannot do that. And this is how uh, uh, companies work, and I don't want to do that to myself, and I don't want to do that to the company, if the one that hires me. Because if everyone else is happy hitting the targets and I'm not, just doesn't work out that way. So what I want is that I should have all that freedom to decide when I work, what I work on.
Got it. So you don't want the constraint of like a fixed schedule, and basically that's what companies pay for, right? They pay for some predictability, and
Yes.
then what you're looking for is something which allows you to work flexibly, and then the outcome of that would also be tied to this only, right?
It also, I think it depends on, it's just a matter of finding something that you really love working on. So let's say I've been writing like uh, JavaScript for 6, 7 years, like professionally, like, but it was never that I'm super excited, like that this is all I want to. Many times I was just doing it for money, like let's admit it. Just because I need to pay my bills, just because I can buy some stuff that makes me happy or so on. But as far as work is concerned, like if you see that, like if you talk about Jason Fried or some like these people, like they founded this company Basecamp, and they never look back just because they are so happy working on it. And now they have Hey, and they are super excited about their products. They are happy working on it. Similarly, if you see other people who have founded companies, they are able to work on that for decades just because they found the thing. Like I didn't find any of that sort. I wasn't happy working on the product. Sometimes it's frustrating to in a schedule based thing just because you don't like the thing. You don't like the product that the company makes. So you're not happy doing it. And the blame goes on sprints and so on. Like that is also one thing. So I think I just need to find what I really love working on. Like for the next, let's say, the thing that I can work on for next 20 years uh, without
That,
getting tired or without
that's
getting bored or anything like that.
big goal. 20 years is something that like I don't even have in my dictionary now. I'll be just happy to find something. Okay, this is something I can work on the next 5 years. 20 years is something like which is like out of my dictionary. But as of now, I'm just happy having like a 1 year plan, 2 year plan, and then figuring it out as you go. And yeah, I totally resonate with your point on the constraint of a schedule. I remember this line from somewhere which said that, doing something, even doing something you love on a schedule you can't control, can feel similar to doing something you hate. So that constraint really puts you off. I want to touch on some things that I saw you doing in the non-tech space. You're doing some comics on browsers, and I also saw you playing uh, piano for like hours every day. So how was that experience like?
I mean, yes, I was doing comic for a while, for a very short while, but it was fun. But that was just like that because that was the time when I quit my job and I didn't know what to do because I was suffering from this RSI, so I wasn't able to type. So I thought I just picked up sketching and so on. So I started building, making comics, and then that's the thing. My piano is my second love. Or rather, I'll say piano is my first love, and then writing code is my second. So piano is, I mean, which I'm very serious about, which makes me happy, which like you know, the thing that like takes away all your worries and so on, like whatever you make call, like it's that thing. So yes, I've been studying classical piano for a while. So when I was in Bangalore, I was studying with a freshman classical pianist. So I was taking classes with her, and then when I moved to Jodhpur, um, so yeah, it's on pause right now, but I do practice on my own.
And like, do you ever think about um, investing more time into it? I'm just trying to understand because I've seen it happening to myself as well. When I quit I also went into music production and then did a bit of writing. But then as soon as I started thinking of monetizing it stopped being fun. So just want to hear your thoughts on, have you thought about monetizing that or spending more time there, or do you feel
I don't
that
want.
art should be like independent of everything?
I think it should be independent. I think monetizing something, this idea comes, it automatically the fun goes away from the thing. That's the reason you get these burnouts, right? Like otherwise, writing code in itself is not very stressful. But when you have to do that for on schedule just because you're getting paid for it, I think then it becomes frustrating or something like that. Yes. So with piano, I don't want to do that. I think let's keep it away from other things and just like I just want to enjoy that. So
I remember like I was reading one of DH's blogs. He mentioned in that he still enjoys coding after 20-25 years. He built Rails and is, I think, is in the industry for more than 20 years, and he said that he still enjoys coding. And he then said that the secret to that is he just doesn't overdo that. Like for example, he will try to do coding like 3 or 4 hours a day, or every alternate day or something like that. And he'll not be like, I'll just code like more than 5 years, 6 years, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. So it keeps his interest because he's doing everything in limit. So for example, if you're eating like a chocolate, if you eat every week, you preserve the specialness of the chocolate. But if you eat it every day, you lose the uniqueness and specialness of it. So I like his point of basically keeping that uniqueness and speciality over time. And also, I guess with respect to schedule, that's what I feel, because we have been doing it for 1 year now. So we quit our jobs, went full time on our products, and we are just two people working full time on it. With respect to schedule, so when I was about to quit, I was like, I don't want any schedule. I just want to follow my timings and stuff. But after a while, we realized that we need certain kind of like loosely bounded schedule. So for example, we then started saying that, hey, if we want to do it, let's do it in this time frame, otherwise we'll not do it at all. So that otherwise, just to put that accountability in, because otherwise for us it then things used to get delayed. We didn't used to release on time. So some kind of accountability and constraint on our terms, I think, definitely helps. Like, it's, I mean, previously I used to think it's bad, but currently I don't think it's entirely bad, if that makes sense. Constraint brings in the accountability and all those things. Yeah, but in job, I hated that. So there are very few people I know that because so when I was in my old job, it was perfect because salary was perfect, timing were perfect, but still I wasn't happy. And whenever someone used to ask me, why are you not happy with your job, I used to say, I just don't want to do this. And it was very difficult to explain to them. So hearing you say these things, I realized, oh, I can totally relate to what you're saying, because I was feeling somewhat similar, that hey, I know, like, this is the thing and this is how companies work, but I don't want to be in this, I don't want to do this. So yeah, I mean, it's very great to meet someone who is like who thinks somewhat similar about the whole process.
So I think it's about having control of that constraint. In a job, you don't control the constraint, your manager does. But right now, since you are defining that constraint yourself, that is a bit more freeing in some sense.
Yeah. So I was watching an interview of Brian Kennedy. So he was telling about this story about Bell Labs, and he told that like in Bell Labs, how they used to work was there was no deadlines, there was no to-do list, there was no target, like nothing to catch or something. Like so, the business side of the company was independent of employees and their work. And the result was that employees were given full freedom just because the company thought that that's how you can innovate, that's how you can be most creative, that you don't have to hit the targets, you don't have to worry about meeting all those deadlines. So the company gave you full freedom and they didn't tell you what to do this month or even next month or anything like that. And you can see the result, like it's been one of the most innovative companies in the history of tech, or like whatever you can say. And he was asked that how you then, on what basis there were increments or job promotions, or how did that does that work. So he told that how it used to work was that you by yourself assess your performance, and then you write down on a piece of paper that I think this is how much I worked, how hard I worked, and so on. And then you propose next CTA or whatever for yourself for the next year, like your increment. And it used to be given to the HR, and it was sanctioned, like no questions asked, like just like that. So there was total freedom for the employees, and he said that there was no other company who was able to do that, and that's the reason that he went into academia after leaving, because that freedom is so essential for was so essential to him. So it's so yeah.
I like I have seen few examples of like that kind of freedom, but I guess from a business point of view, it can happen in an extremely profitable business or extremely funded business. The startups who are burning money, it's a loop. It's like everyone's hands are tied in that scenarios. And because I have seen that case firsthand, because in investors or whatever the expectations are, that will put in the pressure on the founder, and then founder will put the pressure on the next in line. And in that case, like, even though inherently these people are very good and they don't want people to overwork, and they don't want people to, like, they don't want to pay less and everything, but it's just like they don't have anything, like the cash, they don't have cash flow. So in many scenarios, like, this is like a counter argument, like why many people are not doing it at the same. So people who are doing like some similar kind of scenario, like for example, ConvertKit gives like revenue share to their employees. Like they have certain kind of pool, like for example 10% of their ARR is split between all the employees depending on certain kind of parameters, like how many years they have been working there and all those things. They have been able to do that because they are extremely profitable. But and I have seen few more company like Circuit app, which does the same thing. They are doing something like, for example, whatever is the net ARR increase. So if in 2020 we are earning this much, in 2021 we are earning more than this, whatever the net ARR difference will the percentage of that will split it between employees. But yeah, I mean, in case of, like, I guess extremely profitable companies, it's definitely possible. But in case of companies who are like burning cash, it gets really stressful. That's why it's not prevalent right now, because many companies are right now burning cash. So yeah, I mean, it's just a counter argument, like why exactly it's not happening more. I would say why it's happening, why it's rare. The whole, like, the promotion scenario and whole profit splitting and all these things.
This ConvertKit thing was is new for me. I didn't know like they were splitting profits.
So it's like, for example, they have a pool. So I don't think they're splitting like the whole profit, but for example, if they're earning like 100 the ARR, then there is a pool, like 10% or 20% of it is like a pool which will be split over all the employees. So it's like a cool thing, like many things are getting like huge bonuses and all those things. He has written a very well written blog, Nathan, the founder of ConvertKit, how they are doing, like how they are splitting that amount into all of its employees. Because these bootstrap companies, they don't have a goal of getting acquired, they don't have a goal of going public, and they don't have a goal of raising funds. So even if you give equity to a company, even if you give equity in such companies, there is no point, because what will people do with equity? Because they are not getting sold, they are not going public. So in such cases, the profit splitting works. That's why I guess MailChimp, they might be doing profit splitting, I don't know, most probably. And that's why it was like a huge thing when they sold and no employee had any equity, because it made sense, because they were bootstrapped and they were not like they were not giving any equity to employees. They were giving higher salaries and higher profit terms and something like that. I mean, so one question we have is like, what is the one thing
You
you're
want to do it
happy
like
with?
a rapid fire thing for this?
Sure.
Cool.
Do you
Let's
wanna
get.
you wanna
We have like a few questions and we'll go into rapid fire mode. Go, Mukul.
This
Yeah.
rapid
So what's the one thing you're happy with currently?
books.
What's the one thing you're not happy with currently?
I don't know. I'm happy with everything right now.
Oh, that's like the best answer. Content with everything. Okay. So top two book recommendations.
Okay. So one is thinking like a rocket scientist. I read it a little ago, sometime back. Like it's really nice. It's one is that. The second is stumbling upon happiness. Right. So
Stumbling upon happiness and thinking like a rocket scientist.
Yep.
yes,
Also want to
yeah.
quickly touch on, you mentioned RSI in a convo before. You want to quickly tell our listeners what it is and how can they prevent it? Any tips around that?
Yeah, so RSI is basically a repeated stress injury, and it happens mostly in your fingers and because of prolonged hours of stress to your fingers as you type. So when you're typing continuously for hours and hours, it just happens. And then the bad thing is that uh, it has no cure. So basically, it won't ever heal completely. It's always there. So better to avoid it and see that it doesn't happen. And so for that, you can take breaks in between, like instead of typing continuously for 4 hours, split it into like 1 hour, 2 hour, and so on. Like take half an hour, 20 minutes break, something like that. And keep us like that. What do we call that? Stress ball? That which you can press something?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's called
Mm,
stressful.
mm.
Yeah, I
Stress
I
release.
keep it on my table.
Yes, yes. So always keep this with you and keep doing it with like both hands. So yeah,
All
Did it happen because you were like typing and playing piano for a long while, or is it like hereditary, or did you have some injury there which basically
no, it happened because typing, like particularly like typing
oh.
on computer.
I heard of back pain a lot, but this is new for me. Like many people who are like software engineers, they have like back pain problem, but like the typing problem I have heard for the first time. And
I
that's
know three people who suffered the same thing in the past 2 years uh,
oh, okay.
after me. So yes, it's happening a lot. It's in like at increasing rate. So it's better that people take care of themselves regarding this. Like so.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
just adding on to that, I don't know people with this. I know people who have back pain. I remember one colleague of mine, he bought like a tool, something which he used to attach on his back, and that sort of sent a small current whenever he,
It's just
used to slouch.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that was like, he was like, okay, his back was really in a bad shape and he had to get a tool for that. I was like, okay, this is something we need to avoid. All right.
like
Okay. This is not rapid fire anymore. Now we are going into longer answers again, which is all right. So yeah, next thing I want to touch upon is I read in one of your tweets, and I think we talked in the previous meetup as well, that you have a very low monthly expense. So what are your thoughts living below your means? Is this like a conscious choice? Is this sustainable? How do you think about it?
it's natural for me, I think. I don't have too many expenses like since forever, I think. So I think that's the reason that I've been able to have a good amount of savings, that I've been without a job for a while now, and that I'm like I still have. I'm running on my savings because yeah, earlier I used to go to cafes. That was the only extra expense. But now because since pandemic, like I don't have even that cafe expense. So I'm sitting at home with the coffee and that's it. Like so then I don't buy clothes and all. I'm not a fan of that. So yeah, I don't buy anything except books. So books is the only expense that I have as of today. Yeah.
I want to just picture that we have a reading community called Reademy, and we are doing a readathon today on the Little Prince. We are having a discussion on the courage to be disliked tomorrow, and I think you'll like it. You should join it. I DM you.
It's true.
So, like in the tweet that I saw about your wardrobe, you mentioned you have like four white tees and two jeans. Is that still the case, or have you expanded it?
No. That's still the case. That's it. That's all. Although I'm wearing a blue t-shirt right now, And that's because my mom got it for me, and she was so fed up that I'm fed up of you wearing only white, white, white. I can't see you in white anymore, so I got these color t-shirts for you. Please wear them.
I'm super curious, and I just saw that tweet, and it mentions that you have two online subscriptions. So what are those like two subscriptions that made you select those like with the out of all
One is
this budget?
Spotify, and one is YouTube.
YouTube.
Uh,
I agree.
because I don't like ads, and Spotify also because I don't like ads.
Okay, my one of my bet on those two was Netflix, but it was not right. Spotify and YouTube makes sense.
Do you not have
And
any?
I my sister has, so I use that. The thing is, for example, I have a Prime subscription, but I don't count it as subscription because it's like one time yearly annual payment. So yeah.
yeah, so I would say like one last question I have is like, for example, if you have a time machine and went back in time and see your younger self for like 30 seconds, what advice will you give?
What would I say?
Yeah, yourself at 23. You just have 30 seconds. So in that case, what will you say?
I think I would say quit your job as soon as possible and try to do things that really matter a lot. I like don't because I think at that age I was stuck in this. I was really happy that I'm earning for the first time, and I was in that like wow, I now have money, and then that was the thing that kept me in doing the same thing, not improving at all for a few years. So I would just say that quit the job and do what really matters. Learn things and do. Uh,
I'm just going to add a disclaimer here so that people don't take it at face value and quit their jobs and tag us next day. कि, okay, what do we do now? I just want to add that this is not for everyone. This is a very privileged take wherein you're able to quit your job and not think about your finances the next day. So yeah, just take that with a pinch of salt. Make sure you have savings of at least 1 year before you're even thinking of quitting a job, and don't make any this
I think
rash.
okay. I would like to add one thing over here. So when I was thinking like why I failed on this indie journey a couple of times last year, I also thought that I've developed this sort of hate for jobs, which is not good, which is not at all good because so many people do that and so people happy doing it. So me developing this I don't know this thinking that job is a bad thing or something like that. It's not good. So the reason I thought like I came up with that why you should do job work with a job or keep doing it is only when it's aligned with your uh, goals. For example, if someone is loves to grow as a programmer and your job is helping you do that, then absolutely keep it, work with it like for years and years, doesn't matter. But if it's not helping you grow, that's the thing, then just money is not going to take you anywhere. Yeah.
It's so relatable because I had same kind of feelings about job. Like I don't want to do job, but I'm not like totally against anyone who is doing that and something. But yeah, I mean, it's super relatable. They, yep.
Yeah. Now I just want to like open the floor to you, Yatharth, on like, is there something else that you want to talk about or dive deeper on? Like we are done with our questions.
Oh, okay. Uh, Not really anything that I think one thing that has been bothering me is so specialist. I mean, like, is it because of the tech industry or is it just like what society has made us? This is one thing like that I love to talk to everyone these days that try to engage yourself in more and more. I mean, like, try to learn things from different areas and different domains, maybe, because that helps you a lot, and moreover builds a better person, and you like makes you a better person. And be it, let's talk about, it develops empathy in you, it makes you a nicer person, it makes you, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it makes you a better entrepreneur or something like that, if that's your goal. And it helps you in all ways, but the thing is that we don't see that much happening. So if we see the tech industry, like, all people are talking about the frameworks and this and that, everything. And nobody wants to talk about society. Nobody wants to talk about. And this was me some time ago. So I now know that it's not cool. It's for living in a society. You need to know about society. Like, people usually say that makes me unproductive or something, but I think you should see what's going on, like, around you, learn about things, try to engage yourself in different activities, something like, do that too. So it's going to help you a lot. So
Yeah, definitely. The perspective shift will happen to those who will try. Like for example, if someone is in tech and someone tries to do like an intern or something like that in a different domain altogether, or not just like tech, anything outside of tech he'll do like in his free time. I think that increases the perspective shift and like the mindset shift. Oh, like this is how things work. This is how it should be, and this is how, I mean, instead of like discarding everything else, everyone should experience like what exactly goes on in every other point, in specifically with respect to any domain possible. Yeah, I mean, totally agree with that. Swapnil?
Yeah, I think the thing that we started with, that why people get attracted by the specialist role so much, is just about the incentives, just about like how capitalism works. It incentivizes you to go deeper because that's where the most high paying jobs, and it's about both high paying and the quantity. So even though in a generalist role as well, you will have high paying positions, but this the sheer number would be like orders of magnitude lesser than what you have as a specialist. So it's like a safer path to pursue in terms of securing your career, because this is how you start, right? After college, the first thing is not, it's not about the other things, like you said, how society works and all that. That's not on your mind in the first place. It's just about, okay, how do we make money? That is how you start. And once, in the tech industry is also skewed in the sense that it's a very hyping industry. So once you get in, there's no incentive for you to look outside that industry. If you an intern in a different industry, that might be a good perspective opening thing. But the money you will make there, even after a few years, that is just skewed, and it will just make you want to come back to tech again because it's easier.
yeah,
Especially since you have put in the time and work already. So it's also sunk cost in some sense.
yeah, understandable.
I'm not sure, but do you want to add like your, like promote some project you're working on so that like we can add a link in the episode or in the Twitter thread or something like that?
No, 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 no project that I'm just as of now I'm spending a significant time uh, learning. Okay, computer architecture, system, and data structure and algorithm. So I'm learning these three subjects properly, like taking these recorded lessons put on YouTube by MIT and Stony Brook University, and referring to textbooks. And then I'm like, because I didn't study computer science like formally, so I'm trying to do that. because I have seen like how um, greatly it has been helpful in thinking about my programs since I started learning Rust. So, if in tech, if I can say something, like one advice I would like to give is that study the core of computer science. Just don't write JavaScript. Keep writing JavaScript. Like study just because it helps you understand what's going on. Because now I see strings as bits after studying all this architecture and all, because otherwise strings are just like things in between of two inverted commas quotes, like, but now you can actually see like what's going on, and that it's really really helpful in terms of writing efficient programs, solving other problems, and so on. So yes, go study computer science if you haven't already. It helps. Yeah.
I mean, a deep dive on all the things basically. That
Yes, basically deep dive.
yeah, that sounds amazing. Yep.
All right, folks. So this was our first guest episode with Yatharth, and let us know what you liked about it. Tag Yatharth. Yatharth goes by the handle The Broken Finger. So tag us. Let us know what you liked and what you would love to know more of. Maybe we can have Yatharth in a future episode, because I love this discussion, especially because there are not a lot of people whom I can talk with about these topics. So this was super fun for me. And yeah, that's all
Yeah,
for
it was
today.
a lot of fun for me too. Yes. And see you. Ta-da. Bye-bye.
See you next time. Until then, stay curious and don't forget to have fun.